Hello everybody, welcome to the second part of Hypertext Markup Language HTML. So without wasting our time, let's just continue where we left last time. So let's start the session. An HTML file can hyperlink to a cascading VOG area or JS file, usually at the good of the doc with a special book root. A good way to contain suggestions about which coloration to make use of, which fonts to make use of, which different HTML points regarding rendering counsel. JavaScript also makes it possible for builders to encompass greater activating activating performance comparable to pop USA and photograph sliders in a web page. Tags referred to a class contributes attributes are acclimated to suite HTML facets to their corresponding CSS or JS facets. For an instance, if a person wants the color of a certain amount of textual content to be crimson, they can write a cipher within the CSS book with an accompanying classification aspect that turns textual content purple. Then they could place the link type attributes on all of the pieces of textual content that need to be read within the HTML sheet. The same primary method applies to JS bedding with diverse services. Setting apart counsel about how a page is structured, the function of HTML from the tips about how a web page appears back. It rendered in a browser is an application construction pattern and best applied referred to as the separation of issues. In the early chronicle of the all over net marking up textual content base mostly files, the use of a HTML syntax became greater than ample to facilitate the sharing of educational files and abstruse memos. Although, as the cyber web acceleration passed the walls of an academia and it into the homes of the widespread inhabitants, more desirable demand became replaced on web pages, and when it comes to formatting and interactivity, HTML4 turned into released in at a time when the web becomes no longer yet a family name, and HTML turned into not standardized until during this time. HTML markup drift from the job of simply describing the document constitution of web page content material into the position of also describing how content material should seem to be when a web page displays it. Consequently, HTML based web pages commonly blanketed advice inside a tag about what gentry to make use of when showing text, when color may still be used for the historical past, and how content should be accumbent anecdotic within an HTML tag, how an HTML factor may still be formatted back rendered on a web page is considered an HTML anti-pattern. HTML should still frequently describe how content material is structured. Now, not the way it will be styled and rendered inside a browser. Different markup languages are greater acceptable to this project. One primary change between HTML and HTML is that the break of consideration sample is extra fastidiously enforced in HTML than it changed into in HTML with HTML. The bold B with italicized I tags had been deprecated for the branch tag. The adjusted attribute has been completely far away from the HTML blueprint. Right here is an inventory of HTML types and the years they have been created. A few iterations of each version were released over time. This listing aims to center attention on huge iterations. HTML3 launched in along the maths characteristics initiatives altogether and stuck overlap between a number of proprietary extensions. HTML launched in provided three adaptations which differed within the variety of deprecated features that have been accustomed. HTML launched in came after the long break in updates because the corporation that developed it WC becomes specializing in another parallel action known as XHTML. HTML released in aimed to be a proprietary comprehensible by means of humans and computer systems. HTML3 yet to be launched. WC is participating within what WHATWG on a new version. The accord began in HTML introduces a number of aspects to raise interactivity, multimedia capabilities, and semantic efficiency. As a substitute for the use of plugins, multimedia will also be positioned within the HTML code. These points include canvas, which creates a clean rectangular house wherein web designers can draw the use of JavaScript. Section, which defines sections and subsections such as chapters or headers and footers when multiple are critical. Attributes that apply to the form aspect, which creates a local for user input on the internet web page. These consist of number, date, agenda, and latitude. While the accession of those features represents an effort to support multimedia embedding, adjustments to the HTML blueprint exhibit the desire of the community for HTML to come back to its fashioned purpose of anecdotic. The structure of content material, in fact, greater structural facets were delivered, whereas a number of structure-centric facets have been deprecated for the intention of backward affinity. Internet browsers will proceed to help deprecated HTML tags, but eventually HTML might be especially constitution based mostly. In the following HTML instance, there are two HTML points. Each aspect spans the equal paragraph tag precise with the letter P, and both expand the directional attribute dir. Youngsters, a unique attributes price is assigned to the HTML attributes a name cost pairing, especially RTL and LTR. Observe that when this HTML snippet is rendered in a browser, the HTML tags have an effect on how each HTML element is displayed on the web page. However, not one of the HTML tags or attributes is displayed. HTML effortlessly describes a way to render the content material. The HTML itself is rarely displayed to the end person. In order for an internet browser to screen an HTML web page without error, it should be supplied with smartly shaped HTML. To be well fashioned, every HTML point should be contained inside a gap tag p and a closing tag like this. Furthermore, any new tag opened within an extra tag need to be bankrupt before the absolute tag is bankrupt. So for example, HP well formed HTML, PH is smartly fashioned HTML, while HP smartly shaped HTML, HP is not neatly formatted HTML. A different syntax rule is that HTML attributes may still be enclosed inside distinct or bifold braces. There's often agitation about which layout is technically correct, but the all-over web consortium asserts that both techniques are equal. The highest quality information for deciding between single and double charges is to preserve the user's consistent across all the files. HTML style checker can be used to implement consistent employment across pages. It should be noted that on occasion the use of a distinct quote is appreciate similar to an in an illustrations the place an attribute cost in reality carries a bifold adduced persona. The, the reverse is true as smartly. It is crucial to observe as neatly that the accent HTML works with its primary English. Non-English characters or belletristic akin to Chinese or particular symbols like letters with emphasis marks may not display correctly on a web page with the aid of default with the intention to accommodate especially personality sets. Users deserves to specify the character encoding with a part that looks like this meta charset UTF-8. In this case, UTF is the personality set, UTF-8 is HTML default English charset. That's all for today, and if you like my video, share it and also comment below if you have any queries. Also subscribe my channel. Thank you so much.